It's time for Pitmaster and the Doc.
All right, we're live.
Okay, we're live. Can we start it?
Yeah.
Hey guys, Pitmaster here. I'm here with the Doc.
John, how's it going? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. And that's what we're doing. We're doing Pitmaster and the Doc. We haven't had many questions on medical issues, which we'll be glad to answer. I happen to be an RN, and he's a doc, whatever. But I happen to be an RN. So he may be an MD, but I'm an RN. Okay, let me ask you guys something. If you had a really bad injury, who the hell do you think you'd go to? Would you go to running towards the MD, or would you go to the RN? Never mind, don't answer that question.
What kind of injury?
Don't answer that question. That's racist.
It's a team approach. Medicine's a team.
There's no team. There's no
Everyone's
team.
important. Everyone's important.
Anyway, okay, so we're here. We're going to talk about a few things. First and foremost, Misha Tate is pregnant. And it's not by Caraway. What the hell? What? How could that happen? Never mind. I don't want to know.
You're the nurse. You should know how this stuff works.
That was shocking news. It was shocking news, but not that she got pregnant, but that it wasn't Brian Caraway. But we're not going to talk about that. That made me sad. But it happened. Shit happens. I guess people get in weird predicaments. All right, so that's happening. Guess what else is happening? What's happening?
I guess.
What's the most big news that is happening right now in California?
Because of the new year?
No, California. Well, it's because
because of the new year.
Because this damn new year, pot is legal now. Right. All the potheads, they're going to be more pot. Like there's not enough potheads in California. Okay, now when I talk about potheads, let me just say, this has nothing to do with Joe Rogan and the Diaz brothers. You guys are exempt from that. But everyone else, a bunch of potheads now.
What about for medical use?
You
okay with that?
I don't think it's good or bad for medical use, but I mean, it's a pain. They say it's a pain pill. Better than morphine? Seriously?
Well, it might be good for nausea too.
Okay, better than Toradol or some of the other.
I don't know. I don't care about the medical use of it. The recreational use of it, everyone says, well, if it doesn't affect me, what do I care what someone else does? Does it affect you?
It's going to affect you.
That's the question. Do we need more impaired drivers on the road?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, if you're going to make everything legal, that's great. But why do they single out pot? I mean, alcohol is bad enough. So now they make pot legal. Why not Coke? To me, Coke would be the best thing to be legal because more shit would get done. I mean, there's some guys like the Diaz brothers and my stepdad, rest in peace, and Joe Rogan, who are very, very energetic and they're productive on their pot. But I think they're the exception, not the rule. I think I would be willing to bet, I'm going to go out on a limb here, I'll say 99% of people on pot are less productive than when they're not on pot. Except for Joe Rogan, the Diaz brothers, and my stepfather. May he rest in peace. But other than that, I think people get the munchies. They don't get very ambitious, and they're not going to get, I got one more, but I'm not going to name him. But anyway, you know who it is. But, comes here. Anyway, I don't know, man. To me, if you did Coke, you'd be like fucking cleaning and working and just, you're energetic. What's the downside of cocaine?
Well, going back, I don't know. That's a whole nother topic. But going back to marijuana, how do you think our local law enforcement feels about it? And
I know how they feel about it.
I have kids that are of driving age driving on the road, and I don't need to see one more person on the road that's impaired because probably about 10% of people on the road right now that you pass are impaired or distracted in some way. It's 10%.
Or just a bad driver.
It's 10%. Or yeah, that's really. You wouldn't even fall into the 10%. It's people are either on their phone, well maybe you'd fall into that, or they're high or on medication or impaired in some way they should not be driving. So I just look at that and go, well, geez, do we need another way for people to be impaired and be driving, and the cops having to deal with that?
Yeah, it's the cops got to deal with that, and that's it, because it's still driving under the influence, and now
There are signs everywhere. Have you seen them?
no.
Yeah, marijuana is a DUI, something like that.
Yeah, and then it's gonna be harder to test
Driving,
for.
I think it rhymes. It's driving high is a DUI.
Wow.
So
So there's gonna be a lot more potheads in California. Great, whatever. Like I said, if something should be legal, it should have been coke. A lot more would get done. Fucking people would work harder and shit. People would work harder. How many people work harder on pot? They're gonna work harder on coke and faster, and they're gonna like, I want to clean. I'm done with the room. Let's go do another one now. Let's go. Let's put this together. And they're going to invent things because their mind's going to be working faster. So, I don't know. That's what I think. Okay.
So, but pot also, as far as MMA goes, pot is legal as long as you're not in competition.
Yeah.
It's not legal, but it's not a banned substance
Right.
in UFC
Right.
or in USADA.
Yeah.
So you can use pot out of competition, but not in competition.
Which is such a, it's such a, there's such a, it's very confusing when they start using those in competition, out of competition, after the weigh-in, before the weigh-in, then after the fight, and shit should be either legal or illegal. And like pot, what does it matter if you're in competition or out of competition? I don't think that should matter. Steroids should be illegal all the time. And so I don't know, but it's not my call. So
Anyway,
you're a doc.
We'll see how
I'm
it
just
goes.
a nurse.
We can revisit this in a couple weeks.
I never went for the whole MD thing. I only went for the RN thing. Oh, pot's legal. I don't know. I've never been really since I was a little kid growing up in Hawaii. I've never been a partaker in drugs or alcohol. I like to have a sip here and there, but I haven't been drunk. I have never been drunk as an adult. And I'm 60, so I want to get drunk. I want to get high. I want to do some of those things and just see how it feels. Maybe I'll toke a little pot or something. But with my luck, I'm gonna like fucking start hallucinating and shit. I'm gonna think that they're out to get me, and I'm gonna like start running around naked, screaming, and it'll be embarrassing. It will get ugly. But if coke was legal, oh my god, I would be like, Yes, that's what I'm waiting for. But anyway,
I think if you're going to do pot, we need to take your weapons away. You're going to be paranoid.
Start shooting at the fucking bushes. Shoot my neighbor by mistake. Anyway, okay. So let's talk about the fights. UFC 219, it was a good card. Not a great card. Definitely, I don't think it was really pay-per-view. I don't know.
The consensus I got, a couple people that I know that watch the fights asked me if I watched the fights, and they didn't. They're like, oh, why'd you buy that? So I think the general consensus out there, unless you're a big fan, a lot of people probably didn't buy the fight.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And the fights are like $60 a month. And this one, I don't know if I would have got it or not, or just watched the replays later. But we do this podcast, and I want to talk about fights. And I do Sensei UFC, where I actually go over some of the moves they used in the fight and how you can translate that into your street fighting training or techniques you can use in a street fight. But it's also fun to hang out and watch it, So we watch them, but it definitely wasn't the best. Well, let's talk about them. Let's go right to Holly Holm. All right, the main event was Holly Holm versus Chris Cyborg, and I think you might have thought it was a little better than I did. It was fight of the night. I didn't think it was fight of the night at all.
Well, the rounds weren't that different from each other. I'll say
Yeah.
that. They were kind of similar. And Holly Holm had to come up 10 pounds? I think 10 pounds She normally fights at 135, I think.
But you know, when you're fighting at 135, she probably walks around in the 50s. But I don't know that I do not know that for a fact.
But also, you can imagine Cyborg probably cuts weight.
Right. So
to fight at that weight.
And sometimes you can cut too much, and then it's. But I don't know. She didn't look like she was, overly big or anything. And Holly Holmes is a big 135er. So yeah, I don't know.
I actually thought Holly Holm looked good in the fight. I mean, she looked strong. She didn't get pushed around really. So. And she actually held Cyborg against the fence, or against the cage a lot, which I was kind of surprised by. But going to your point of it not being, very exciting or whatever, the rounds were all pretty similar.
Yeah, they were similar. I wasn't crazy about it. I think Cyborg would have done better if she threw her left hook more. But she had a really good timed right counter, straight right counter. And that, to me, that was the fight. They both threw some leg kicks. They both threw some head kicks. There were some elbows thrown. I don't think any of them landed. There was a couple of stiff jabs by Cyborg. And there was a couple of quick flurries here and there, like by Holmes. But I think the winner of the fight for Cyborg was just her counter right hand. Every time Holly would come in, she would stay this far away from engaging most of the time. But every time she came in all the way where she could score a punch, she got punched. And when she got punched, it was a lot more effective for Cyborg than it was for her. Because when they both punched at the same time, her Cyborg's punch was much more telling. So to me, that was the whole fight right there. So it's just in and out, an occasional counter right hand, and that was the whole fight. That was, in a nutshell, that was 5 rounds, and that was the whole fight.
And it was 5 rounds. I think that's the other point is, as most of the fights on this card, all but one on the main card went to a decision. So this fight, went to a decision, and Holly and Cyborg went 5 rounds of fighting. They did get fight of the night, right? That's what you said.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was 5. It went 5 rounds. Holly went 5 rounds, and she definitely ate some punches, but she hung in there for 5 rounds, up a weight class. I don't know. Like I said before, I don't think she lost anything in this fight.
I don't think.
I think she was pretty tough.
I don't think her stock went down at all, as I think Cyborg's went up. So I think they both put on a good fight. I just think Cyborg. You know what? It kind of irritates me. I'm not gonna name anyone, but when people put down Cyborg, I don't like the fact that she's on steroids. But that's the UFC lets her do that, so that's fine. But she seems like a really decent, nice person. And when they start calling her a him and fucking putting all that shit, that's just fucking low. It's tacky. It's low end. It's like a fucking douchebag move, I mean, maybe guys don't think she's the prettiest girl in the world. Everybody has a different look and everybody has, different tastes. But she's a fucking fighter. She's a fighter. She seems to be very competitive and a good sport. I've never seen her losing her cool or being an ass to anyone. I've only seen her being respectful like a martial artist. So when I hear reporters and other press with calling her a him because maybe they don't think she's good looking, to me that's just fucking low. How'd you like someone calling your fucking mom a him? Or if maybe your mom's not that attractive. So would you like someone calling her that? Or calling your wife? Maybe somebody doesn't think your wife's attractive. I mean, it's just tacky and it's low and it makes people come out like douchebags. And that irritates the shit out of me about Chris Cyborg, that people do that to her. She seems like a really nice person. And that bothers me.
So what's next for her in the UFC?
Defend her title. So they're bringing some girl from what's her last name? Anderson, or I forget her last name.
Someone who hasn't fought in the UFC before.
Right, somebody from Invicta or something. They're gonna bring her, and she's supposed to be a bigger girl, and they think she'll be a better competition. So we'll see. But anyway, so Cyborg beat Holly Holm, unanimous decision. Good fight, not a great one. Definitely Cyborg won. I don't think there's any question about that.
No, there's.
But also Holly showed that that she's a banger and nobody's gonna take her lunch money. So bing. Okay, this is the one that I thought was the fight of the night.
This one, but this fight was more one-sided than the Cyborg fight. So the next fight is Khabib.
A lot more action though. A lot more. I think it had a lot more. Sorry about that, guys. It had a lot more action. Khabib against Barboza. It was one-sided as shit. Fucking Khabib. I'm telling you. What's that little I don't think he's gay, but he looks gay in the movies. He was in The Revenant.
I don't know who you're talking
Anyway, The Revenant. The movie The Revenant.
With the bear?
Yeah. That
Leonardo
DiCaprio. Yeah. Is he straight? He doesn't look straight. He can't be. But anyway, whatever. Anyway, that fight looked like that bear mauling. It looked like freaking Khabib was the bear, and poor Edson Barboza was, what's the guy's name again?
Leonardo
DiCaprio in The Revenant. Go, if you haven't seen that movie, watch The Revenant, and then watch the bear mauling scene, and it looks like the Barboza Khabib mauling. I mean, Khabib fucking mauled him, and to maul someone like Edson Barboza, that's a mighty feat.
Well, and Edson Barboza, this fight was interesting to me because you always thought that Barboza might hit him with one of those crazy kicks. So
he almost did.
He was threatening with this crazy kick that could end the fight at any second.
It was fight of the night.
So that was interesting to me that I think Barboza was so tough. I mean, if you talk about heart and fighting, man, he got
mauled.
He got pummeled for, I think, 10 minutes at least of a 15-minute fight. I mean, he just got beat up.
It was
for like 2/3 of the fight.
It was a mauling.
But he kept going. I mean, that guy did not tap to punches. He was
Khabib is a beast.
Well, the other thing that makes Khabib kind of a beast is he comes out with this like warrior headdress thing. It looks like, I think people think it's a wig, but I guess it's like some kind of.
It does not look like a warrior headdress.
I think
it doesn't look
from
like
his
one.
Culture.
I know, but it doesn't look like one. It looks like a goofy like one from the 70s. One of those crazy mod.
It's like an animal, man.
Yeah, it looked like one of those hats for disco. It looked like. Oh my God, he's an
Maybe
animal.
you should wear like a bear, one of those bear hats.
He's like a bear. Khabib, you need to put on a bear hat next time and maul someone else. Go watch The Revenant, Khabib, because you're the bear. Poor Edson Barboza, man. One of the best fighters in that weight class. So that just speaks volumes on Khabib. He fucking mauled him like the bear in The Revenant.
It looks painful. Painful to watch.
It was so one-sided. It was like 30-25 or 23 in one card. One of the judges. It was crazy one-sided, but Edson always had that one kick away, but
that's the only thing that kept it interesting.
Yeah,
was that also to watch him take a beating and just keep going. Yeah. I mean, he was impressive. I was impressed by him. He lost the fight. Yeah. Clearly lost the fight, but I don't know. I'm a fan of his.
Barboza, yeah, he had the first spinning hook kick knockout in the UFC. That was brutal. The guy just freaking fell backwards. Plus, he has the fastest leg kick, I think, in the UFC. But he couldn't throw it on someone like Khabib because Khabib controlled the most important factor in any fight, distance. Khabib controlled the distance so well that he didn't get caught with the kicks by Edson Barboza. And when he did get caught, he just got glanced because of his distance control was so good.
Because he would close the distance.
It was and he was
as
just there.
soon as they got together, it was done. It was like, now he's going on his back again. It was like
mauling. It was like The Revenant.
Well, it'd be like trying to kick a bear coming at you.
You can't kick that. That's a bear. He's like a bear. Khabib the Bear. That's his new nickname.
What is it? Does he have one nickname?
It is the Bear.
Oh,
his new nickname is the Bear on Revenant. And we're not going to give Barboza DiCaprio now. So anyway, that was a good fight. I thought that was fight of the night, way above home Cyborg.
It was more entertaining. There were
definitely
several fights.
And that's why that's what fight of the night is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the most entertaining fight. That was it.
That was it. I agree with that.
So, okay.
But it was more one-sided than the Holly Holm fight.
It was a mauling. It was the bear mauling from Revenant. Poor Barboza. He was like fucking DiCaprio. He must have got decapitated.
Decapitated?
Decapitated. It was ugly. It was ugly, but it was a good fight. All right, so then we got Dan Hooker and Mark.
So this was the only fight that was finished.
Yeah. Everybody, another.
So this is Dan Hooker and Dikisi.
Yeah, Dikisi was the favorite going in, just like there's a couple of favorites that lost. Dikisi is really good. He's from England, and he's really fast, and he's flamboyant, and he's like throws all kind of crazy techniques. And Dan Hooker's more of like this, I'm coming to get you knockout guy. They're both winning fighters. I don't think they've lost more than one or two between the two of them. I'm not sure, but they're both up and comers. But Hooker was the underdog.
Well, in this fight, didn't it start out with Dikisi winning? I thought Dikisi was winning.
Yeah, he was winning a little bit. It was never like one sided. He started getting off a little bit, but Dan still was coming in, landing some solid punches. So it wasn't really that. Then he got him down, but then, was it the second or third round?
The third round was when it was over.
Okay. So then the second, so it was kind of up and down. It could have gone either way, I think. It was a really close fight. It wasn't fight of the night because there was a lot of moving more than striking. They were both kind of feeling each other out because they both had so much respect. But then in the third round, Dikisi came in for kind of a sloppy shot. Because he got tagged, I think. He got tagged
Yeah,
with
I think he did. And he went in for a shot to kind of close the distance.
Yeah, and the shot was sloppy, and he led with his neck. Hooker got his neck and got a beautiful like guillotine within like 2 seconds he tapped.
Yeah, I think if I was going to get choked out, I would much rather get choked out from a rear naked choke than a guillotine. The guillotine looks painful.
Well, I mean, yeah, you don't really see that many guys getting choked out with guillotines. They usually tap, and it's because it hurts more. It's more of a crank, and it's more on the trachea. Where a rear naked is usually the blood choke with the, it's just cutting off the carotids, and it doesn't hurt per se. It's more like a head and arm choke.
But that only takes like 6 seconds and you go to sleep. With that guillotine, man, people tap immediately.
Fucking shit hurts.
We just saw that in a fight recently.
Yeah, it was Cub Swanson against Ortega, and I tried that with our guy, our jiu-jitsu guy, Adrian, and he got it on me, and then he jumped up, wrapped his legs around me, and he had the guillotine on my neck, and Cub Swanson said he tapped because he thought he was going to die. I actually thought I was going to die. I mean, because with somebody hanging on your neck with that guillotine like that, all kind of crazy shit went on my head. If I could have tapped, I would have, but I just dropped to the ground. But that guillotine is just a lot more painful than a rear naked choke. And you can get choked out by it, but you go through a lot more pain, so you're going to tap first. The rear naked doesn't really hurt, but next thing you know, you're going to sleep. So a lot of people would rather tap to the rear naked choke because they'd rather go to sleep than tap, because it's kind of a macho thing too. But the guillotine, you're not going to do that because it hurts too much.
It looks painful.
It was painful.
That looked terribly painful. I mean, he tapped right away.
And nobody blames him. Sometimes when people tap to strikes, they kind of get like dogged a little bit. Like, you tap to strikes, But nobody ever says that about tapping to an armbar, a guillotine, or something crazy like that. So, boom, that fight ended in the third round. Hooker won. Hooker is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the UFC. And so is Dikisi if he comes back. But next fight, 2 females. Carvillo against
Esparza.
Esparza used to be the champion. These are 2 115-pounders, and it was. I thought it'd be a good fight.
Kavita won the first round.
She won the first round big, and she came in with a lot more hype right now. She's with Team Alpha Male, and she's on a winning streak. She has I don't think she's ever been beat, but anyway, so she came out like, and she has I don't know, she's a little more outgoing than the Cookie Monster. I love the Cookie Monster. I love Esparza. I think she's great. I love the way Esparza. You watch Esparza when they're announcing her. She stands against the cage, just like doesn't say a word. She doesn't bounce around, and I just love her style. I like Esparza. So I was pulling for her, but that Calvillo has a lot of personality and a lot of skill and a lot of aggression, and she won the first round big. She won the first round big. Spent almost the entire first round on top of Esparza, going for stuff, and she was busy all the time. Second round, Esparza kind of found her range more. Esparza is more of a wrestler. Cynthia is more of a grappler, jiu-jitsu style. But Esparza was able to defend the takedowns and land a lot of right hands. It was close. Second round was super close. Third round, Esparza started to find her range a little more and her distance. I thought she won a little more of the third round. But I think I could have seen giving her the second and the third. But with that said, the first round was pretty one-sided. So maybe that could have been a 2-point round and it could have ended up a draw. I could see that happening. But if it's just going by round, I thought Esparza won.
It wasn't that definitive. Yeah, so she won the later rounds too. So I don't know if that makes a difference. But I don't know. It wasn't
the most action
super exciting fight for me to watch. But
yeah, it was more for me because I really like Esparza, and then now I really like Calvillo now because I've never really paid attention to her, but watching her fight and her personality and the way she fights, I'm a big fan now of her. So I really like both of those female fighters. And then, okay, so next one, Condit Magny. This was the first fight on the main card. Carlos Condit against Neil Magny. Neil Magny, I love him. He's a fucking workhorse. He's a blue collar guy. And I just love him. I love his personality. I love his work ethic. I love the fact he'll just fight anybody. And he's just, like I say, he's a blue collar guy. He's just going to get in there and fight anyone. And without being racist, he's like a black guy that always says dude, and he talks like a guy at the beach. And he's a funny guy just to be around. I've hung out with him a few times. Dude, what's up, dude? All right, you just don't expect that when you see him, but he's a workhorse, and he was the underdog against Condit. Condit's had a layoff. I was thinking of like taking a flight. He has a layoff. He hasn't fought in like 16 months or something. I don't know what it was. Neil Magny is known for fighting a lot. He'll just fight all the time, anyone. But Carlos came out sharp-ish, not his usual sharp, but he's dangerous from the bottom. He's dangerous on his feet. He does a lot of flying knees, a lot of unorthodox knockout strikes. But Neil Magny was able to push the pace and keep it at a workman's pace, and he grinded out a very unanimous decision. I mean, there's no question in anybody's mind who won that fight. And it was a good fight. It wasn't a great fight. There was a lot of jabbing and moving, and there was a lot of one thing that Neil did very well is he was able to catch Carlos's kicks, roundhouse kicks, even his leg kicks, and that was going to be a big part of Carlos's game, is his kicks. And Neil was able to catch his kick and punch him right away, and that was taking the kick away from Carlos. It took that momentum away from Carlos. Neil was able to catch a lot of his kicks. And a lot of times people catch their kicks and then they're standing there with the kick, and sometimes the guy that they caught the kick on hits them. And a lot of times they just pull their leg out. But he was able to catch the kick and punch right away. And I think that was a big part of his strategy, and it was a big part of the reason he won.
Yeah, I did notice as he would catch his kick, he would chase him down too.
Yeah.
Because Condit would try to back up when he got his leg caught up, and Magny would just chase him down.
Great strategy. He has a great strategy.
Catching kicks seems dangerous to me, at least to the body.
Yeah. Yeah, it hurts, and the leg. And one thing dangerous about catching kicks, if you don't do it right, like you come up and around, you go to catch a kick, and then the guy sees you're going to catch his kick, so he throws a couple low for you. Then you go to catch that low kick, and he brings one up high. And I've seen many a knockout that way. But Neil Magny is a really sharp fighter. He has a bunch of fights, and he's just he's a really good fighter. So it was good to see him fight. I'm glad Carlos had a good fight. Nobody got hurt, and he'll be back. I mean, he's been away a while, but he's back. So. Bing.
That was the main card.
One thing I want to talk about was Michael. I'm not even going to try to say his last name. He's from Poland, and he fought Cahill Roundtree, who's on a winning knockout streak in the UFC. And everybody, another. He was favored. Michael Roundtree has one punch or kick knockout power, and he's been knocking people out. And people Michael looks a lot, Roundtree looks a lot bigger than Michael does. It looked like he was a lot stronger, but Michael had the strategy, which was basically to outbox him or to stay on the outside. And he knew Roundtree was going to get tired, and he did. He was like, by 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes into the first round, it looked like Roundtree was like exhausted. So then Michael was able to, impose his will more and do a lot more punches and work him a lot more. And then the second round, it looked like Michael got tired, or Roundtree got tired after like 2 minutes.
So he was tired in the first round? I missed that fight.
Yeah, he got tired at the end of the first round. Then he got tired like halfway through the second round. And then he got tired like 1/3 of the first round.
The third round?
The third round, yeah. Like he got tired of the first third of it, and
do you think so?
Gas. He
when
just
you
ran
see
out of
someone
gas.
that tires out that fast in the first round, do you think you talk about things like an adrenaline dump, or you dump all this adrenaline in your system for whatever reason, you're scared or you're just amped up to fight, or just the intensity of it. And then do you see fighters that just like bottom out, like they go through that adrenaline, which isn't going to last you that long.
Yeah.
It's not going to last you a 5-minute round.
And then it goes.
And then you're just gone. Your legs just come out from under you.
You do. But on the other flip side of that, a lot of people, it's not an adrenaline dump. They, for whatever physiological reason, they're exhausted, dead, the end of the first round. Looks like they can't make it back to the corner. But then the second round.
Did he punch himself out?
Well, I think he has a history of gassing. A lot of people do.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if there's more of a physiologic problem. Because someone that looks like that, he trains, but maybe he has no cardio. I mean, if you look at these two guys' physiques, they look very different.
Yeah.
Like if I don't know if you can put it on the screen, but
yeah, they do look different.
They look very different. If you looked at that picture and go, which guy is in better shape? The general, especially not doing steroids.
Yeah.
You look at that guy and go, man, he trains a lot. He looks good. I mean,
but then if you look at for a lot of fighters that have been around the business long enough, they realize that a lot of times guys with that look do gas because a heavy muscular guy a lot of times burns more. You know what I mean? Burns more.
You burn more fuel
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so basically when your gas tank runs low like that, no matter what you want to do, you can't do it. no matter what you want to do, you just can't do it because it's not there. Your gas tank isn't there. One of the worst feelings in the world, and as a fighter, is running out of gas.
Yeah.
Here, jump with that picture big. I'll take it right now. There's no worse feeling than getting in the cage or the ring, looking across from your opponent. Oh, can you tell? So you guys can see the back now? Let's see here. All right, so there's the difference in their physique. So a lot of people might think, okay, the guy on the left looks a lot more buff, so he's going to win. And a lot of people think that. The other guy...
But the guy may have more skill, but when you look at this picture and go, which guy is going to have more in his gas tank and is going to be able to go harder and go longer, I don't know, you just look at that picture and go, well, the guy, he looks like he trains more, he looks like he's in better shape. Maybe he's more... It doesn't tell you anything about his skill level in an MMA fight. But anyway, it's just interesting that he gassed. That's why I brought up the adrenaline.
Yeah.
Adrenaline's that's a real thing. That's the fight or flight. Here's something medical. This is a fight or flight reaction. So your body, when you get in a situation that's dangerous, you either fight or you flee, but your body gets ready for that. Yeah. It dumps adrenaline into your system, which increases your cardiac output, your heart rate goes up, increases blood flow to your muscles. So all those things are important for either, you're about to be in a combat situation, you're fighting for your life, or you need to run from a bear, from a mauling. So you need that adrenaline dump. So you think, well, that would be helpful in fighting. Whatever reason your body is, you're in this situation, this life or death situation, you have this huge adrenaline dump, but then it runs out. If you don't finish the fight in 2 minutes, it's gone. Yeah. And then you may be gassed or whatever. I think people come back out of that, though.
A lot of people do, but sometimes you don't. And I mean, one thing about training is a lot of fighters think they can, in their training, they can spar or grapple their way into shape, and you can't. You just can't. Because you don't bring it up to that level like you're going to in the fight. The adrenaline, your heart rate, your anaerobic metabolism doesn't go that high when you're sparring or when you're grappling. Yeah, you're using those same muscles and you're using the same techniques. And so a lot of people think, all I got to do is spar every day and grapple every day, I'm going to get in that shape. But you don't bring it up high enough. Your anaerobic threshold has to be pushed when you're training. And you can't do that when you're sparring, or else you're always going to end up hurt. You're going to knock your opponent out, or your partner out, or you're going to get knocked out. It's dangerous to spar full on all the time, or else you're going to get hurt. And it's dangerous to grapple all the time, or people are going to be tweaking each other's neck, shoulder, elbow, knees. People are always going to get hurt. You have to spar with control. You have to drill more than spar. But you also have to get your heart rate up as high as you can, because you need to get your anaerobic threshold high. Because that adrenaline dump, once it comes and goes, you need to have your anaerobic threshold, so you need to get it back. And that's why people get what they call a second wind. And if you don't get a second wind, you're going to be worn out until like 10 minutes or 20 minutes after the fight. That's when you can start getting it back. That's why you need to train constantly with that's why we train like we do at the pit. We do a lot of high-end anaerobic workouts, because that's what you're going to need in a street fight or a cage fight. But a lot of guys don't think they need to do that. I mean, I know a lot of seasoned pros that have never really tapped that high anaerobic threshold in training, because they just like to spar all the time, drill all the time, work the bag, hit mitts, etc. And they don't like to do that anaerobic stuff. So to me, that's how you get... everybody needs to do that in training, because just like Roundtree found out, you're going to take it there in a fight sometimes. And I'll tell you, I will guarantee you that Edson Barboza does some exclusively hard training, because the way his anaerobic metabolism was after beating like that, punching, kicking, getting taken down, getting pounded, but still fighting to the end. That guy was in unbelievable shape.
Crazy shape.
Crazy
I was
shape.
impressed. I was really impressed by him. He lost, like I said, in dramatic fashion, but he
got mauled.
He got mauled, but he was so strong.
Mauled.
And he took a beating, just like
the bear.
That's
the bear mauling
that's
on.
the performance of the night.
That should have been
that he took and kept going.
That should have been fight of the night. I don't know about. I don't think you can get performance of the night
for a beating.
For taking a beating, I don't think so.
Well.
Let me just show you the bear mauling. I wonder if the bear mauling's on. Is it
on YouTube?
Is it on YouTube?
This is the other thing too. Is when you see fighters come in the ring, they behave very differently. Like in the main matchup with Cyborg and Holm. Holm comes in the cage. She's pacing like almost like a caged animal. She is constantly. It looks like she's gonna wear herself out almost. She's running back and forth in the cage constantly. And then Cyborg comes in the ring like nothing, like cool as can be.
Yeah.
And I don't think that made a difference.
Yeah.
And I don't think Holm had like a big adrenaline dump and then gas. So, but just they're so different, their styles in coming into the ring.
They're different, and my wife actually commented like, "Oh, she looks like she's gonna gas out. She's running around before the fight. She always does that. That has nothing to do with their conditioning." And both of their conditioning was really, really good.
Yeah, they both made 5 rounds.
Yeah.
They did fine.
So it was good fights, but it's not going to show us the damn time. I'm trying to show you guys the bear scene. Because that was like... That was a mauling, if you guys didn't see it. I'm just telling you guys. But anyway, it's probably not going to show it. So we're out of here tonight, guys. Thanks for coming.
What's coming up?
What we got next? What's the next week?
I don't know. Let's see. Upcoming fights.
Oh, we got Stevens versus the
Choi.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be exciting.
He's a Korean zombie guy. Is that him?
That's not this weekend though. That's the weekend after.
It's January 14th. Sunday.
Okay.
It's actually Sunday.
Oh, it's a Sunday. Okay. Well, we'll get to watch it. So this week we'll talk about. Why don't you guys do me a favor? And somebody either private message or email a question, and we will go over it. All right? That's what we need. We need a question.
Sounds like a plan.
So other than that, thanks for coming. UFC 219 was good, not great. We wish Misha Tate the best in her pregnancy, and hopefully everything goes smooth. And sorry to hear about the breakup and stuff, but shit happens, I guess.
Oh, way to start out the year.
Yeah.
2018. Happy New Year, John.
2018.